said in a letter to colleagues that legislation will be a very narrow, bare-bones CR, including only the extensions that are absolutely necessary. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And I'm Ken Kerrigan.
And for those of you guys, I know a lot of you guys are probably like, oh, what's going on? This 4 o'clock show? What is this show?
Yeah.
Well, this whole show, we'll explain it. It's going to take a whole hour because it is nothing like you guys heard before. This is not a show that is strictly political. It is not a show that's strictly on one subject. This show is called Whatever Works, and we talk about whatever works. So it gets very catchy, and every Sunday it is a new topic. It's a fun and exciting conversation that we have with people. And we actually have we actually do the 7 o'clock show, and we got switched to the 4 o'clock show. And this is our first weekend, first Sunday doing it. So I'm super excited to all the new listeners. Do have some good news and bad news. Bad news is we had so many great shows that you guys didn't have the chance to listen to them.
Yeah.
The good news is
They're everywhere.
You guys can go back and listen to some of our shows, and we're going to be talking about some of the shows that we've done in the past and, kind of reminisce on it, give you guys an idea of what the show is about. So if you guys are interested, next week you guys can tune in. We'll have a new guest like we do every Sunday.
Yeah.
And
next week we have a very special guest who I can't reveal yet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Warm up those hands.
I guess I'm not very special.
Oh, no, it's the second special.
Well, Ken is our co-host.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know who he is, this is Kyle's dad. Kyle is the co-host. Kyle's been doing this for
3 years.
3 years?
3 years.
3 years, guys. Almost. Is it almost 4? Because
it's almost 3, actually.
Oh, almost 3. October.
Yeah, October 31st.
That's so crazy.
I know.
That's a good time. So yeah, we're doing this for a long time. We have over, I think, like 200 plus episodes.
Together.
Yeah, together. So, just to give you guys a little idea.
Where you been, man?
I was at the bar.
He's got glitter on his forehead, man.
Glitter, oh, nice, dude.
All right.
Talking to a girl named Champagne. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so just to give you guys a little idea of who we had, which guests and stuff. We're gonna take turns and we're gonna talk about some of our favorite guests. We're gonna talk about our worst guests, not our worst, but the nightmare, the show didn't go as planned. The little bloopers here and there.
Yeah.
So we had some really amazing shows. Everyone super excited to tell you guys about it, and then we had some some little floppers, and they all have their reasons. But we're gonna go in order and talk about some of our favorite ones here. So without further ado, Mr. Kyle, our main co-host here.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Kyle. Actually, I'm a appraiser / inspector, so I do that full time. And I take care of my parents full time. And I've been on the show almost 3 years now. October 31st will be the 3-year anniversary for me, which means, 4.5 years for you, which is crazy. And, I feel like we came a long way. We've had some good guests, bad guests. We've been bad.
And then there's me.
And then there's my dad.
Saving the day.
One of my favorite shows I actually did alone with the guest. I went to high school with her, YHS. Shout out to Lola. Lola came on. She had an ex-boyfriend that moved to Tennessee and was caught up in a cult for about 3 months. So she talked about her experience with that. It was a very killer show, and a lot of people hit us up about it.
And go into like a little bit of detail about that. About
Yeah.
that story.
So basically, she's, she wanted a little bit different lifestyle than California. So her and her boyfriend moved to the East Coast and settled in Tennessee. And so they stayed at this kind of like this flop house kind of. It's like multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms. Like, so they rented out a room. And over time, they kept getting gifts like every week. Like, thank you for staying, doing this and that. And then the weird part is there was an incident where her ex-boyfriend had to go to the hospital, and they wouldn't let them go to the hospital. They're like, we could do everything in house. We actually follow this book that we made, this like doctrine, and so they looked at the doctrine and they tried to apply like, stuff from the book that they made, and they thought it was a little weird, so they were looking elsewhere for houses, and they kind of brought it up to the homeowners, and they were like, no, you don't need to go anywhere, and they had like a 10-hour conversation with them at like 3 a.m. on why this house is the best and it's for them.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let them leave. They wouldn't let them do anything.
And they weren't allowed to talk to anyone outside of that.
They weren't
complex.
allowed to talk to people outside of work, and they wanted them to quit their jobs to work kind of like remotely inside of the house, so they wouldn't leave. And they said, you don't need to buy groceries. We'll buy the groceries. We'll buy this and that.
Hey, as long as I can tell them like this is what I want from the grocery store, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I can make a good living doing that.
And so Lola and actually like, well, I think it's a little much. I think we should be able to get our own groceries. And so they would go out, and the homeowners would send people to watch them get groceries, make sure that they weren't talking to anybody or or doing anything weird. They would watch them like over every minute of their lives except when they were in the room.
Maybe even in the room they were still getting listened to.
Yeah, she told us that there was like audio recordings like in the bathroom and in the bedrooms. Like if you said anything ill about the house, they knew about it like almost instantly. So it was like everything was being, like controlled, and they would get gifts. It was like,
if I was in that situation and knowingly like I wasn't gonna get harmed like physically, I think it would be kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. 'Cause,
no.
like, I would start making like, okay, if they can hear me, then I'll be like underneath the blanket, like with my significant other, and doing like, hand signals, like.
Oh, like sign language.
Yeah, sign language, and try to be all. I think it would be fun for like a little bit, Obviously, I would really get tired of it and stuff like that. But
yeah.
But like they didn't know, like they
Yeah,
could
they
get
didn't know.
harmed, like physically.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Well, they had weapons in the house, supposedly. I don't know if they ever used them or.
Yeah.
But they said that they did. It was like some Ruby Ridge stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so
And how did they escape?
they ended up leaving in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., like with everything, and they hitchhiked down the road. Like they had a hitchhike because they couldn't call a cab because then they would know, or Uber, they would know. You can't call a friend because if you call them on the phone, they would know. And like you'd have to submit your text messages so they would know. So they just had to like.
Was this house like not in a neighborhood? Was it like
No,
kinda
well,
like a farmhouse or something?
Tennessee is kind of open, like, because it's mostly farmland unless you're in the major cities. And they were in, like, one of the outskirts cities. I think they were, like, 50 minutes away or an hour away from Knoxville, like, in the boonies, like. So they were down like this dirt road in this like plantation style house,
Wow.
like 2-story, 10-bedroom, whatever.
That's honestly kind of how I pictured it this whole time. You know, the way he's telling the story, that's how I was picturing
No,
it.
that was like a plantation, like a 1700s like slave house plantation kind of thing. Like it had slave quarters still, like an exterior building with basements and stuff. It was like,
That's kind of spooky.
it is like there's a lot of history there. I wouldn't want to sleep there.
I wouldn't either.
You know, there's a lot of bad history that happened, you know, during those times, and they lived in the house, and then like you bring this like negative aura, like with all this, like you're making this book that everyone's got to follow, and
Yeah.
They'd kick me out.
yeah,
They're like, hey, Ken, thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping by.
yeah,
We don't want you. We don't need you.
yeah. So they stayed low key until they had enough money to know that they could get like another place, and then they ended up. I think they ended up just saving money to take like the Greyhound back to California, if I remember correctly. Or maybe they lived somewhere else. I don't remember what it was, but that was a crazy show, huh, Joe? The Colt. You remember that one? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's very rare that I'm not on the show, you know, doing it.
Yeah.
And every time that I'm gone, it's always a great show.
Yeah.
Great guests, you know, great stories. They're like, oh, Sam's not gonna be there. All right, let's make this fire, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one. That was probably one of our most popular ones.
Yeah.
For sure. What about you, Ken? What's a story or a guest that you like?
My favorite was those two girls. They came in more than once. I think they're a friend of yours.
Oh, yeah. Emily and Leah.
Okay, another one I wasn't there for.
For both.
For both.
You weren't there for both.
It was
Guys,
crazy.
My
Yeah.
attendance is like pretty good. Okay, I think those are the only times. Maybe like one or two other times I wasn't there, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was crazy one. They were
Yeah,
crazy
both.
girls.
Yeah, they were.
They just decided to jump on a bus and head to Texas. No job, no nothing waiting for them. They lived in their no, it wasn't a bus, it was a car. They lived in a car until they got jobs to get a place, and it was what they were saying was craziness.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
There's a lot
But they came back, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
came back and
Yeah, they
talked
came
again.
back. They're
Yeah,
still here.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have to get those back again.
Yeah, we do.
See what's happening with them.
I know, huh? What
Yeah.
other crazy stories you guys have been doing lately?
Yeah, it was.
See, and
Yeah.
I like that too. I like the fact that some people like them are willing to, you know, take the risk, roll the dice.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
that's what they did.
A lot of people, they regret things that they haven't done, not the things that they did do, you know? what I
Right,
mean? So
yeah.
it's like, why not do it? Because you're not going to die.
Right.
Maybe,
Yeah, one
I
of
don't know.
them.
Maybe, I don't know.
One of them kind of shadowed the other one.
Right. Well, there's always a leader in the
Yeah, the
politics.
leader.
Yeah, Leah.
She was.
She's a yapper.
She was a
We love
yapper.
She's probably spicy.
Oh, I bet you. And some of the stuff she was saying, you know,
Yeah. It was almost borderline like
she says,
Like, yo,
she says, I don't really want to work, but I don't really want a man to take care of me, but I want a sugar daddy to,
yeah, she
you know, she's just some of the stuff she
Wow.
was
Yeah,
saying.
she's a wild child. We
Yeah.
love her.
Yeah.
And then
I just need someone to just give me money.
She's
Give me
doing
mo-
really
that's
good now.
basically it, yeah.
I actually she has a boyfriend. She's about to have a kid.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That was fast.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
yeah.
I mean, eventually it was gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
But
According to her, no, but
and then her cousin Emily was on too. She's cool. She used to work at Red Robin.
yeah.
Yeah, Red Robin.
Yum. That's cool.
Yeah,
Well,
that was a good show.
we definitely got to get them back on, and I have to be there for this one because
Yeah.
this sounds pretty cool. So we had one escaping a cult. We had one escaping California.
California life.
Yeah, life itself, and then guess what? Life hit her. Now she's having a baby. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's usually kind of like what happens. Like if you don't really take control of your life, life takes control of you and stuff. stuff really starts to.
Yeah, that's basically
But
how I
that-
was.
Hopefully that puts her on the right path though.
Right.
Yeah,
Maybe like straighten her out.
yeah.
Um,
Get her life together.
Yeah, I think. Well, honestly, there's a few, if I must say, and I think the most serious one, which I think we all know which one I'm talking about, and I forgot her name, but she's like 34, 35.
Oh,
Yes.
the murder suicide.
The murder suicide.
Suicide. one.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Dun dun dun.
And if you guys want to go back to listen to any of these, you guys can go back on Apple Music.
Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube has it.
YouTube.
We don't have any titles, but we do have dates. So if you guys want to go
Yeah.
back and be like, hey, I want to listen to the one from people escaping the cult, or I want to listen to the murder suicide one, or anything like that, you guys can always just hit us up on KCA whatever works on Instagram, or even our website. Email us, text us, call us.
You know what I
post.
thought about doing?
What's up?
Feeding every one of our videos into an AI, so that way,
To visually create the story.
not only that, but like summarize for us, summarize for other people, but also like go to the AI and say, "Hey, Colt," and then it'll find the video based off what it watched.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like that'd be pretty cool.
Like a fast search or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Off
cool.
of yeah.
Yeah, so my story is basically I got a call from this guy, and he's like, "Hey, you should have this lady on your show. It would really help her out." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "There's even an article about it. I'll send it to you." And I read the article, and the story goes, according to the article, which I was going to read it out loud, and she was like, "That article is nothing but lies." I was like, "All right." So she came on the show, she told the story. And basically what happened was she was, 3 years old, 6 years old? I think she was like
She was
6.
like 4 or 5.
Yeah, very young, a 4 or 5 year old girl. And her mom basically murdered the whole family. And she got shot in the stomach. And then her mom, thinking that she killed everybody, killed herself. And it took 2 days for the cops to come by and do a health and wellness check. And they found the little girl curled up in a ball with a towel pressed against her stomach up against the wall underneath the window. And the police officer came in. Kind of funny, like, I don't know, when he crawled through when the officer crawled through the window because all the doors were locked, he actually like landed on her.
Yeah, he fell on her.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it was kind of crazy. But anyways, so and she grabbed the police officer. She kept saying, "Tell them to stop shooting." Obviously, the shooting was done within a couple minutes, and it's been 2 days.
Yeah.
Went to the hospital, and she said when they're trying to get the story, she was like, "Oh, it just seems like a bad dream." The police officer could not make any contact with her until she was like 18, or unless like
Well, she reached out.
her family gave her the okay or gave them the okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, when they got older, the police officer actually got in contact with her, took her back to the house, and explained how everything went down. And forensics took like what? How long did it take for them to figure out exactly what happened? It was like
It was a long time.
it was like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like almost a month. Yeah.
Because all right, so here's the background story. So her dad was like in a group, not a very good group, and he kept threatening his wife, like, if you leave me, there will be like repercussions. And the wife, like, she wanted to get a divorce, she wanted to leave him, but she was too scared. She didn't know what to do. She had 3 kids. She had the daughter and 2 sons, all very young, single digits.
Yeah. One was like an infant.
Yeah.
One of the brothers was an infant. The other one was like a couple years older than her.
Right. And she didn't know what to do. And so one night she was working graveyard. It was either like the security guard or someone there. They're like, "Hey, you don't really look good. Like, you look super stressed, whatever. Like, go home early." And it was
And
that.
She like flipped the switch.
Yeah. And it was that night. She came home, and the little girl was sleeping with her dad in bed. And the mom comes home, shoots the husband in the head, shoots her in the stomach. Little boys come running down the hall, kills the boys, and then she kills herself. Well, it was like, I think a Wednesday or a Thursday. And that weekend, they were supposed to have a family barbecue. And their aunts and uncles were calling. They didn't
Yeah.
answer. So they called the cops for a health and wellness check. And that's when it all kind of happened.
She said that she held her baby brother as he died.
Yeah. And she doesn't believe in God. But the craziest part was when she was telling the story was that she said that there was a voice in her head telling her what to do. And that was to grab a towel, you know, put pressure on her stomach where she got shot, and then just kind of like just hang in there, you know, and she
Yeah.
survived. And so when I called her and I was like, hey, I heard you want to come on the show, yada, yada, yada. She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, because I read the article, I was like, you can bring your kids, you know. And she was like, I can't have kids.
Yeah.
So I was like, husband? You got a husband? You know? And so I had her husband, and the police officer that first showed up on scene
Yeah.
to talk about both sides of their stories.
Yeah, it was a very
And it was the most intense interview.
it was a heavy interview.
and
We were all exhausted after the show.
and all I can say was, like, every time they're telling the story and they're looking at me for a response, I was just like, that's crazy.
I know you kept
Like,
saying that's crazy,
Crazy.
And I couldn't say anything. I was in shock.
I was in shock too. That's why I was like, that's all I can say. And, you know, they expected me to say something. But overall, it was a great show. We actually got a call back like the following day or the day after. and-
Someone hit me up on Instagram.
yeah.
Someone DM'd me on Instagram. She said a similar situation happened. She didn't want to give me a situation, but she said that listening to the interview helped her find closure and,
Yeah.
what to do next. So
Right. Because
yeah,
the woman that came on the show, like, she spent her whole life trying to figure out how, why, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And the lady who called, like, she was just trying to ignore the past. But, you know, the past can really, you know, if you don't have that closure, it can really eat you up inside. you
yeah.
know? And so it helped her and probably a lot of other people too. You know what I mean?
And what's crazy is this happened like not too far away. This happened in Claremont,
Yeah, Claremont.
and there's people that talk about it there still, like,
Yeah,
because it was all over the news.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so that was a really serious one. If you guys want to go back and listen to it
Yeah.
again, you guys can go on Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. But I mean, and the other two that I wanted to bring up, which is like, one's kind of like a nice little love story. You guys were talking about like escaping and just, you know, going out there and being adventurous. Woodhouse over on Ukaipa Boulevard.
Right.
That was a little love story. This couple from the East Coast, you know, they decided, hey, we're gonna split. If we ever see each other again in the future, then we'll be together. Both from the East Coast, not knowing, they both traveled to the West Coast
Yeah.
and ended up in California, ended up in the same city, and they ran into each other.
Oh, man.
And they were like, this must be fate.
Yeah.
And they're like, we told each other if we ever meet each other again, if we run into each other, we'll be together. And they started a pizza and beer place over in Ukaipa Boulevard called Woodhouse. You know, happily ever after, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Like, that's a story.
was.
And, you know, it's like both of them were just like, hey, there's nothing for me out there or out here, but I'm going to work for 6 months and then I'm going to travel. And then work for 6 months and I'm going to travel.
Yeah.
And they both ended up in the same place. I thought that was really cool.
That'd be funny if one of them's like, I'm going
I'm
across the
married.
country. I'm never going to see this chick again. And it's
He's
like,
like, yes. And then, he's like, no. Yeah. And then another interesting one was a lady from New Jersey. For all the imports of products that come into the United States, she reverse engineers them to make sure that whatever they say is in the product is actually in the products.
yeah, that was cool. That was a good episode.
And so she was giving us, you know, some examples, and one of them was like the CBD oils and stuff. She was like, yeah, most of those actually don't have any CBD in it. I was like, that's crazy. And
Yeah.
she was like, but she does like, I don't want to say all products. I don't know what exactly she does, but a lot of imports that come in, you know, they have to be FDA and USDA approved and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
she makes sure that it all falls in line. And so I thought that was super cool too.
Yeah.
You know, so we had a lot of amazing, awesome guests. And they don't stop, dude. We had mayors,
We have mayors.
we had city
doctors.
councilmen, school districts.
Yeah, school districts.
Before Kyle, I think before this was during COVID, so yeah, this was before your co-host. You know, COVID happened, schools were confused, parents, kids were confused, and I had the San Bernardino School District come on to talk about, hey, how are we gonna handle this? You know, how are we gonna handle COVID, the lockdown, all this stuff, schools going on, like, you know, so. And this show, by the way, you guys, anyone can come on. Obviously, you heard all these amazing stories.
Yeah.
These are not people who, you know, are just like, they're well known. It's just we're giving everyone a voice.
Right.
You know, you get your 15 minutes fame
Yeah.
here on Whatever Works.
Yep.
And yeah, we had count every Sunday, guys. Every Sunday. And it used to be at 7. Now it's at 4.
Yeah.
Really happy it's
There was
at
a
4
while.
o'clock.
There was a while where we did it on Wednesdays too. Remember that? It was Wednesdays or
I'm
Thursdays.
stumped on that one. I think it was maybe Thursdays.
But we had 2 shows. Remember that? No. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Joe was trying to
No,
move
we had it
something.
on Sunday, and I almost want to say it was on Wednesdays.
Was it because of the palm trees in progress?
No, it was. We had 2 shows for a couple months.
Oh yeah, because there was just another opening.
Yeah, there was another opening, so we did it twice.
That was crazy. That was a little
You don't
overwhelming.
remember that? Oh.
Yeah. So, but if
Yeah.
any of you guys, whoever's listening, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're starting a new business, if you're an author, if you just have a crazy story, there goes the banging.
Somebody's knocking at the door.
If anyone wants to come on the show, it's completely free. You can just contact us. It's going to be every Sunday at 4. We can book you in advance. You know, last week, who did we have on that? Oh, yeah, last week we had the Peace and Mind.
Yeah, we did.
Is that what they're
Mhm.
what they're called? Peace and Mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Inner Peace.
Inner Peace.
They actually have a 6:00 show.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really good show, talking
Yeah.
about, you know, forgiveness, your past, and
Yeah, it was more
Finding that
spiritual than it
peace.
was religious. It was.
Yeah.
They wanted. It was religious, but they focused on the spirituality of.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had that situation happen today.
Really.
Yeah, it was real spiritual. My bishop called me, and I was at home. He says, "Ken, I just got a feeling that you needed to talk to somebody." I says, "Believe it or not, I was going to try to talk to you at church, but you were just too busy." And we talked, and ended up being a good conversation.
Oh, good.
You know, it wasn't about necessarily church. That fell in a little bit, but most was about my health, how I'm doing. You know,
Yeah.
when I show up on Sundays, they're kind of surprised because I'm sick so much. They say, "Well, if Ken can make it to church, anybody can do it."
Yeah.
You
Ken's
know?
here, guys. What about everyone
Yeah,
else?
so
Yeah.
just suck it up and just
Yeah.
do what you're told.
Yeah.
Like today, we had muffins and milk after church. You know, it's a nice church, but the conversation was mainly about me. You know, how about I've been in the hospital 7 times this year. A few times almost didn't think I was going to make it. So he called me right when I needed to talk.
Right.
Something I was just laying in bed.
Yeah.
So it was just nice. It was good.
And I think it's very important because that happens every so often. Like, you know, we're all connected, and so like there are times when you're like, oh, you're thinking about somebody,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, maybe I should give them a call, and then you don't, and then they call you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I was just thinking about you. And you're like, man, I was just thinking about you, but then you seem like
Yeah.
like you fronting, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But in reality, it's like, no, I actually was, and a lot of times that happens to me, happens to you, happens to a lot
Yeah.
of people. There's a screen on our screen, by the way, but it is, you guys, it is half hour past 4 o'clock, so no break. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, today's a good day, huh, Joe? Yeah, no
Joe's
break.
all happy and smiling.
All right, well, hey, here's our break. It's time for our sponsor.
SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music. And you know what's funny? Me and Timmy, we've called each other at the same time a lot. And because we call each other at the same time, it doesn't go through. And so finally, he'll text me or I'll text him, hey, I'm trying to call you. And he goes, I'm trying to call you. It's so weird.
That is weird.
It happens a few times a year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's like completely random times.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, when we had that big storm
Uh-huh.
a couple of days ago, Timmy walked in the house and half of them was soaking wet.
Oh,
The other half was dry.
I feel bad.
I go,
'cause-
Timmy, why are you half wet? Because my windows broke. I said, why don't you just get it fixed? I don't know.
His window, like in his car?
Yeah, it's stuck
yes,
down.
yes.
The
really
motor
bad.
goes, he told me.
Yeah.
He made that noise.
Yeah.
I said, what's going on with your car? He goes, the window's going, I said, okay. Sounds like the motor, but
All right, so I feel like that's half my fault because the day before I checked the weather, it said it was going to be 75 and sunny. So Timmy asked me this morning, he said, hey, it's a little cloudy outside. Do you think it's going to rain? I was like, nah. I feel so bad.
it's the worst rain I've seen in 20 years.
Yeah, but I had conversations with people that day in Hemet. They're like, it was sunny. It was said it was going to be sunny today. Like, a lot of people were just like, it's weird.
Yeah, they're confused on it.
And so I misled Timmy. I feel
That
bad.
is too funny.
I don't think he knows
Yeah.
that, but
But also, hey guys, we're gonna be adding in some more sponsorships. And by the way, if you guys want to be sponsored on our show, also you guys can hit us up. We can make some little ads and all that good stuff for you guys.
Yeah.
our Instagram is KCAA whatever works.
Yeah, that's KCAA whatever works.
All one word.
All one word.
All lowercase.
But I do want to give a shout out to Take Back Control Car Rentals. If you guys are here locally, Redlands, Ukaipa, Hemet, all that good stuff, this company, they have vehicles for you guys to rent, personal vehicles, so you guys don't have to go to Enterprise. You guys don't have to have, Enterprise closes. Like, you know what I mean? Take Back Control is 24/7, so you can hit them up. And also, West Coast Solar Cleaning. You guys, if you guys have solar and you guys haven't cleaned your solar panels, get them cleaned by a professional who are licensed and insured. Hit them up. They're fairly cheap, and they send you a full report personalized to you and your home. So if you guys do have any problems and you guys are trying to call warranty, you guys are valid in terms of keeping maintenance on your solar panels. So look up westcoastsolarcleaning.com, and then also Take Back Control for the car rentals. So those are our little sponsorships, and
Yeah.
if you guys want to be a sponsor, just give us a call, hit us up, search KCA, whatever works. And then if you guys want to come on the show,
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
hit us up.
Yeah, Sandy, just let us know.
So we talked about some pretty good, some pretty good stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna talk about some pretty bad ones, if we have some. And I know we have a few,
Yeah.
but if you guys want, I can start and then we can work
Yeah.
back here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't remember.
So I was super excited, and I talk about this one all the time. Super excited about this guy to come on. I met him at a party. He looked like Brad Pitt, and I was like, "Yo, you look like Brad Pitt." He's like, "I get that a lot." I was like, "All right," and I was like, "What do you do?" And that's just me trying to, get some people on my show. As me and Kyle, we used to go karaokeing and talk to people and
Yeah.
get new guests. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Um,
we should do that again now that we're starting
yeah,
later
seriously.
or earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And so this guy was like, "Oh, I fly planes, and I am
Oh, that's the guy I was going to say.
exotic veterinarian." And so basically, he was like, "Dude, I would fly to Puerto Rico for like $60, and then I would go, swimming with like crocodiles and sharks without cages." I'm like, "That is so crazy." He's like, "I was on the news one time because I was out on Sea-Doos, and I saved this turtle from choking on." He was like wrapped up in a water balloon, or not a water balloon, a balloon,
Yeah.
with the string and stuff. So he made it on the news, and he's an awesome dude. He just goes out and goes on adventures, catches snakes, swims with crocodiles, and just flies around the world for super cheap, less than $100. I was like, that is an awesome lifestyle. You should come on my show. He was down for it, so he comes on, and The problem is that he doesn't interact with humans. He interacts with animals. So when he comes on the show,
He was very socially awkward.
he got which was funny because I met him at a party. You know what I mean? But he looked like one of those cool guys. Like, you know, he wasn't talking much. He wasn't loud. He's just kind of there, you know? And I was like, yeah, this guy has some swag. But anyways, he comes on the show, and he got so nervous. Like, in this building right now, there's 4 of us. The board op, Joe, he's an awesome dude. Kyle co-host, Ken co-host, and I. And just knowing that he was on the radio, his throat just whoop. You know, he couldn't talk. He couldn't talk, like physically couldn't talk. And I was like, you got to say something.
Something.
I remember that, and then he kept commenting how hot it was and then how cold it was. And
Yes, and I was like, you want something to drink? He's like, my throat. And I was like, oh, man. And blew the whole show. A whole hour. A whole hour of talking about nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, no, we talked for like 6 minutes, and the rest, the rest of the time was like trying to figure out like,
Dude,
what's your favorite color? We were just
Yes, we're like, come on. bro.
and then they were like one word answers.
Yeah. But I will tell you something that I learned from him, though. So alligators, all right? So he swims with them without a cage, like I said before. And the reason being, he told us, he's like, if you are above the water, these alligators or crocodiles, like, they're under the water. They can't really see you. They see a silhouette. They're going to attack you. But if you are fully submerged in the water and they see you and you see them, 9 times out of 10, they'll leave you alone.
Oh, okay.
Because they know. That's, you know.
it only takes that one time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. And I seen videos like him literally like holding on to a tail of a crocodile and just like swimming with it. I'm like, that is insane. Like you see like people like on National Geographics, like with snorkels, like swimming with like the humpback whales or these huge whales or whale sharks, but never a crocodile. You know,
Steve Irwin was the first one.
Yeah.
He had that show on what was it?
Animal Planet.
It was before Animal Planet. It was on one of those channels. It was
Wild something, right?
something
wild.
And then it was he that guy was crazy. He'd wrestle just animals. Iguanas have like the size of like 8-year-olds.
All that, he didn't get killed by any of that except for a stingray.
Yeah, he got killed by the one thing.
You figure you want to get killed on. So Bob come out, hit him right in the heart.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Why wouldn't he think that he would get? Why? Because they're like gentle creatures.
Yeah. You can pet
Yeah,
him.
normally they're gentle, but
Yeah, it's
this
just
one was just like overly
irritating.
aggressive for no reason.
Yeah.
And killed him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Which is always the risk when you're with wildlife,
Yeah.
you know, because you never know if they're going to be in moods or like.
Yeah, I mean, and you can read them like the dog whisperer. Like you can tell like if their hair is sticks up, if they're not wagging their tail.
Yeah.
But like to do that with just about every animal you come across, that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Kinda hard to read.
Yeah. And then you got to memorize all these animals and their triggers and like
Yeah.
know when they attack. Like.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it was an awesome show though. He was very knowledgeable and he loved the wildlife and
He's still out there doing his thing.
yeah. Well, his family is
okay, you're talking about
Steve Irwin.
yeah, Steve.
Yeah, his family has a show. His
Yeah,
wife
his
and
kids,
his
yeah.
2 kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Trying to live on the legacy.
Yep.
yeah. His son is living on his legacy the most.
Yeah. He tackles the alligators that
yeah,
need to be
yeah,
caught.
yeah. Yeah. So they sit in the bed and they do. He does all the stuff that his dad did. It's awesome.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And they're identical too. He
Yeah.
looks just like his dad.
Yeah.
Talks just like him too. Same.
Australian
All
accent.
Australian accent. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm trying to think of a bad show. That was the one I was going to mention.
Yeah.
That's the show that I remember clearly.
That was the one that we learned a lot from.
That's the show. Like a lot of these shows, I have like we have conversations and they're good, but like, and they're good memories. But there's only one show I remember the whole hour. I was like, this is a
6
long
minutes.
hour, and that was that show.
Yeah.
This was a long
I'll
hour.
tell you one that I wasn't excited about, and it actually came out all right.
Which one?
It was, like skin lotion, like skincare. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
because we got
oh.
Yeah, because we got a publisher who called, and she was like, hey, she wants to talk about her products and yada, yada, yada. And I was like,
Joe had some notes for us.
yeah.
Like 12.
Yeah. And I was just like, this is not something that I'm like, a fan of, but all right, let's do it. And
It turned out to be a good show.
it turned out to be a good show. Joe made it entertaining. Luckily, she wasn't here in person. She would have saw saw those notes. Yeah. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was actually a decent show.
Where
But
was she from? New York?
yeah, she was from New
Yeah,
York.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
I was here.
Yeah, I wasn't so ecstatic about it. I was like, oh man,
it was all right.
Yeah. And then it turned out to be okay.
I'll tell you the show I was surprised about.
Which one?
And I think you know what I'm about to say.
I don't. Which one?
This-
We had a lot.
This guy came on and he hit up Sam, and he had this weird
Yes.
photo with a gun. And it was like a selfie, but he was like holding the gun like this, like a selfie,
With a cigarette in his mouth.
with a cigarette in his mouth, like
Yeah, he had a gun holster on.
Yeah.
him, like on his chest.
yeah. Because we asked him, we're like, okay, so we're promoting you on Instagram. Send us like a passport photo, or whatever. And then he goes, with a and we're like, all right, who's this guy? And then he talks about how he helps homeless people. And it was a good show.
Yeah.
And then like just before we go on break, he goes, "Oh, I got another thing I do. It's kind of low key." And we're like, "Well, what is it?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a bounty hunter for like trafficking children." And we're like, "We gotta talk about this."
We were so shocked. We're like, what?
Yeah.
It was crazy because he was talking about like set free and just like helping homeless, being in a church.
Yeah, it was a good show, but it was like that was it.
It got exciting. Though,
Yeah.
after that.
It did, and we actually had some callers, and then he's a bounty hunter who helps families get their children back from the sex trade and stuff. So
And it takes a while.
it takes a while. Yeah,
It takes like maybe a couple months, maybe a couple weeks, sometimes years.
yeah,
And he travels all across the world.
yeah. He was telling us about going to Paraguay.
Yeah.
He was out there for months
Yeah.
trying to get this child back. He said that he got kids back from the cartel in Mexico City. And he's like, he was in all these shootouts and stuff, and
He was telling
and
one-
he's a set-free minister.
Yeah. And he was telling us a story about he was in a different country and he was walking past this dinner table and this guy had like these two girls there and he can just like see the girls are very like distressed and they're like they wanted to scream for help and then the guy got in his face. He was like, bro, keep walking, like da 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 da, and he was trafficking these girls. And he walked away for a second and he thought about it and he came back and they scrambled and eventually the guy got arrested and the girls got saved. But it was just like he wasn't working at that time. He was just walking by and he noticed.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. And then he can see it in these girls' eyes like
Yeah.
help us, And that's when you've been when you're in that business for a long time. Like know without knowing.
Yeah, he started out as a bounty hunter in St. Louis, I want to say. He lived in St. Louis, he said. We're doing, like, just contract work, like, just protecting people.
Yeah.
Because at the time, St. Louis was the murder capital of the world. And it's very dangerous there. And you were kind of close to there for a while. This year.
Yeah, I went to Missouri and I was like, I was walking because I was waiting for Timmy to get on, like to come to the airport. Timmy. And yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And I had to wait for a little bit, so I was like, all right. So I started walking, and I was just, you see Impalas, you see like all these things. I was like, this is not what I expected, but all right.
Yeah.
And then, I went to a Waffle House because everyone recommends going to a Waffle House. Never been. And
You said it was mid.
yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But
Yeah.
when I walked in there, it just felt like I don't want to sound, but it was different. It was different.
It's the culture.
You feel the eyes on you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's the
Ken.
culture.
Thank you.
That's the Waffle House culture, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Because you always see those videos, or you know, people try to fight the workers, and the workers always beat them up.
Right,
and
yeah.
There's some crazy videos out there, especially on World Star. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Waffle House employees on World Star.
Yeah, that's
And
Waffle
so-
House World Star, bro. That's what it is.
And it's cheap food,
Yeah.
and it's good.
It is cheap food. It is cheap food. But guys, listen. So we've been talking about all these like crazy, awesome stories, and we don't want you to think that my story is not as good as the others. You know what I
No.
mean? We
Yeah.
like everyone has a story.
Yeah,
At least one.
at least
Yeah.
one.
I mean, Ken, he has a story. Kyle, he has a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my own story. Everyone has a story. You don't have to be, you know, you don't even have to like know that you're special because you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
And if you guys ever just want that 15 minutes of fame, Joe,
Yeah.
if you guys want that 15 minutes of fame, come on the show. It's completely free. It's an hour long, but I said 15 minutes of fame because I talk a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle's really good at asking questions if you guys get lost. And you know what? And a lot of times when we do have guests, they always say, okay, so what are we going to talk about?
Whatever works.
I always say, whatever works.
And even if you want to just call in, and
Yeah, you guys can call
Yeah.
in too.
Call in.
You know?
yeah,
Yeah, you know, if you have a cousin or somewhere that lives somewhere else.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Guys, we had for Mother's Day our moms on the show.
Yeah, we had our moms, we had our dads.
We had our dads for Father's
Father's
Day.
Day.
You
Yeah.
know, it's,
yeah.
the show is literally just whatever works.
Yeah.
So, you know, me as a real estate agent, I had my VP on the show a couple weeks ago. That was really awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad he came on. We have a special guest that's unannounced for next week.
Next week, yeah.
So, guys, just stay tuned. I'm actually super excited about having this 4 o'clock time slot. I know there's a lot more listeners and also new listeners out there. So, guys, hey, stay tuned. Plug in 1050, 106.5, 4 o'clock every Sunday, whatever works. Be on the show, you know, interact with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've had artists come on our show.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, I really want to get my music out there.
Yeah, we play music on here.
You know, how can we do that? You come on the radio. Oh, you can have my song on the radio? Of course you can have your song. As long as it's, you know,
FCC.
radio
Yeah.
appropriate.
Right.
We actually had a whole hour of music. Just
Music
music.
hour, yeah.
We had the new music hour, which we need to do again next couple months before the year's
Yeah, that
up.
was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, no, it was a good one.
That was a good one.
So where we had everyone who performed came on our show, who played music with us on the radio.
Yeah, Joe even sent in his song.
Joe
too.
Joe had some songs put in.
And we had, I think, 10 songs.
Yeah, we had 10 songs.
10 songs. Took a vote, you know, to the public. Little chaotic because we got votes from different social medias, from phone calls.
Yeah.
It was so hard to keep track. I was
It
like,
was.
I don't even know who won. You know, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like, so this next round, you know, there are
Yeah.
going to be new artists, new songs.
I'm almost 100% sure it was Sonny Babel that won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wins all the time.
Yeah. He had like 53 people calling for him. Joe had 4 votes.
Yeah.
I had 4 people say that they like Joe's song.
Yeah. Joe has what is it categorized as?
Industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Yeah. So we had
We had a whole mix of music.
it was awesome. We had rock, we had pop, we had
country. It was
we had
that
country.
or indie.
yeah.
it was an indie
indie.
guy,
And
yeah.
I personally like the indie one. I'm a
Yeah.
little more soft and slow.
Yeah, I like
When it comes to
the
music.
rap and the.
And this is why me and Kyle are, you know, we are very
Yeah.
compatible because we cover both ends of the spectrum.
We do.
You know, we're like yin and yang.
Yeah.
And so we can have great conversations with people because if you don't like, you know, having a conversation with me, you might like having a conversation with Kyle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so a lot of times I'm over here just like I'm asking questions left and right, and I may ask, you know, a lot of questions, but when Kyle asks questions, I'm like, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm very articulate. With
Yeah,
this.
so don't get stumped when Kyle asks you a question. He gets deep.
I do. We do.
You know, and so, and whatever you guys, if you guys want us, like, you can send in a request, like, hey, I want you guys to do a show on, you know, whatever. We had a movie director on our show.
Yeah, he had a crazy.
That's the
story
one I was
too.
going to talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Talk
No,
about it.
no, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was basically He was an interesting man, talking to him.
Yeah.
And then we went out afterwards to the Mill Creek.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And,
Saw his little.
Yeah, he had a movie.
yeah, he
Play.
made a little movie.
And it was the movie about after the war.
Yeah, after the Civil War.
Yeah.
It was a Civil War movie.
Because a lot of times, like, there's always movies and documentaries of like what life was before the war or what was like during the war.
Yeah.
But no one ever really talks about what happens after the war.
Yeah.
Like the repair.
yeah, there's books on it, but not movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
Like all the people who like all the wives and the moms who like lost their kids now
Husbands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that
like-
was Paul Bonsignore.
Yeah.
Paul Bonsignore, and then Skeeter Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has
Skeeter
a horse
was
ranch.
cool.
Yeah, Skeeter was cool.
Yeah.
We had and then we had Angie De La Rosa, who was the
Chamber of
Chamber of
Commerce.
Commerce from Mentone.
Yes. Yeah.
So she came on to talk about the film festival. Skeeter talked about his part in the movie and how he trained everyone to be on the horses. He's a horse trainer in Ukaipa. We got to have them back on.
Yeah.
Paul's life was crazy. He said that he was a dojo master on the East Coast,
Yeah.
not far from where Dad grew up. And then he did some work in China or Hong Kong or something, and then studied film there and won a film festival like the first year he applied, and then
Now he moved to Hollywood.
now he's in Hollywood. He lives in the beach somewhere. He's living
Yeah.
life.
What a life. You
Yeah.
know?
He was a. We got to have him back on.
Actually, what a show. You know, it was
Yeah.
a good show. And
It was.
And this show brings out the best of people, man.
Yeah.
This is a good show. And so I hope you guys, found this pretty interesting, and I hope you guys want to tune in every Sunday at 4.
Yeah.
This show is called Whatever Works. Hey, Joe, what time does the show end? 55? We got like, what, 2 minutes? Well, that clock's like 4 minutes fast, huh?
He had 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So, guys, that's the baseline. What this show is about. It's about bringing people on, expressing themselves. Talking about whatever works. It can be. Now, what we used to say in the beginning of the show is like it's nothing political. Da 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 da. But obviously, there's always some conversation, some topics that come into it.
Yeah, and then it depends on the guest too. Like we've had priests on and
Priest, councilmen. It
Councilmen,
gets a
yeah.
little political sometimes.
sometimes
Yeah.
whoever wants to come on and talk about whatever they want for an hour, that's their hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
When Texas had that freeze, my aunt was in the middle of that crisis. Gave her a call.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how's Texas? She's like freezing.
Yeah.
So it can be about anything. So I really encourage you guys to, if you at the bare minimum, just tune in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen to all these guests. Listen to their stories. Even if you're on the freeway, hey, the first 15 minutes is the best 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, and if you guys have, like I said, if you guys want to be a sponsor on our show, you can hit us up.
KCAA, whatever works.
And
On everything.
Yep. And then if
Twitter
you guys,
or X, whatever it's
and
called.
if you guys are interested in like listening to any of the shows that we just talked about, again, you can hit us up, or you can do a little soul searching, because we do a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've been doing it for well over 3, coming up to 4 years.
Yeah. The videos, you can watch the videos on YouTube. You have to go to KCAA Radio, and then you have to find our folder on Sundays. It'll be Sundays at 7, so you got to go to the 7.
Yeah.
And our shows, Whatever Works, at KCAA, Whatever Works, KCAA, Whatever Works, all one word.
Yeah.
On Instagram, Facebook.
I would just say, hey, hit us up personally. We'll find it for you.
Yeah.
You
You can find me at Clash City Kyle on Instagram. And then Sam.
Yeah, and next week we'll talk about Clash City, because that's another thing that we got to bring up. There's so many things. Moving from 7 to 4 o'clock show, there's a lot of things we got to give people an update on.
Right.
But till next time, guys, hey, happy Sunday. Stay blessed. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the day. And enjoy the 5 o'clock show. I don't know what show it is. But anyways, this is Whatever Works on KCA. Clocking out.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood, feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day.
Now you can listen Listen to KCAA Radio anytime on your smartphone device. Call 720-835-3099. 720-835-3099.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Borgen, and I'm excited to tell you about Ray's Shanghai Bistro in Redlands. Ray's Shanghai Bistro offers the largest and most delicious array of traditional and original Chinese dishes available in the Inland Empire. Some of my favorite dishes are the house-made pot stickers, the crisp pork spare ribs with garlic, their unique spicy lamb with bamboo, the sweet and tangy deep-fried orange peel beef, and the savory basil spicy shrimp, plus lots of vegetarian dishes. Whether you dine in, pick up the food, or have them cater your next party or special occasions, you will see why Ray's, spelled R-U-I', Shanghai Bistro, is truly the best Chinese restaurant in the Inland Empire.
Make sure to check out their new location at 405 West Stewart Avenue in Redlands, California, right across from the Sprouts grocery store. That's Ray's Shanghai Bistro.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Dibbs, teacher running for school board here in Garden Grove Unified Trustee Area 1. We need quality vocational education. The district cut 10 intermediate school woodshop classes and 4 auto shop classes. We need these classes back so students can have a better future. No matter where you live across this country, please support this effort so we can have quality vocational education. Go to nickdibbs.org, nickdibs.org. Thank you.
I approve this announcement, paid for by Dibs for School Board 2024.
With 60 years of fascinating facts, this is the man from yesterday. And back in time to this time, in 1984, Michael Mann, the executive producer of a brand new TV show called Miami Vice, says, yes, that show is shot entirely in Miami. The show is different than the others and has a deco look with splendid colors and well-dressed characters.
Hey man, wait a minute. What's the story between you and this guy Free?
Nothing. I'll catch you later.
And from this time in 1979, who is that other guy on the Benny Hill Show? His name is Jackie Wright. He's often a foil for Benny Hill as he gets smacked on his bald pate rapidly, accompanied by smacking sounds. And from September of 1969, looks like a new band, Three Dog Night, has their first big hit here in September of 1969. The name of this song, One.
Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one.